Okay, we're back, and we just finished recording through this 6 times and a little bit extra. And we're going to hit Save All here in Reaper. Save All. And you can see our takes there. And go back to FMOD and stop the playback of our event, because we are now done with that. So in Reaper, we have this new event, and you have your different takes. This is how Reaper does the takes. They're each kind of the same length, except for this one. And then you right-click and go to your takes. And the take folder, there's an option here that says Explode All Takes in Order. Boom. It puts them in order like this. Now this last one, you can see I just played it for a small amount of time and then I stopped it, just to make sure I have full takes all the way through. And what I'm going to do is delete this last one. Okay. Now I have these takes, which is my first one, and then my looped 5 times take. But it is essentially one audio file. Like if you actually look at the Reaper folder of the recording, there's just one audio file. It's just pre-split now for us. And then I have a action I've set up that will take all the selected items here, and I forget exactly what it is, but let's show recent actions, maybe. And it will make all of those into regions. Boom. So if you look at the top, now I have 6 regions. And down here we have the region render matrix. And what we're going to do is render these out. So I'm selecting those, getting rid of the previous set I just finished. So there's all 6 of them. And I'm going to do alt tracks. So there's only one track in this session. There's no processing on it. And then we're going to go to our render menu, whatever. Region render matrix is where we're going to use as our source. The directory is in my folder for this project. I've created another folder. This is called FMOD Scatter Instrument Capture Session. I've created a folder in there called Exported Files. I'm going to use the wildcard at region. So each export will be named the region name, and then 001, 002, 003, etc. And I am rendering out at 44.1 in stereo as a WAV file here, and 24-bit. You could run a dry run, check it out, but in this case, I will hit render 6 files. That all looks good to me, and it will think about it. It will check normalization, some other options there. And we can see our files coming out. It shows us our information about them, the average levels as well as the peak level, and we're done with the export. So now if we fly over to exported files folder here, here at the bottom are these files we just exported. Egg hallway, cathedral, 30 meters, ambience, 001, 02, 03, 04, 05, whatever. Great. We could check those for playback. But now in FMOD, I have this original event, and I'm essentially going to duplicate this, because right now this is a referenced event in Unity. So I don't want to create a new event and then replace this event, because then Unity would have to be relinked to this ambient event. So what I'll do is I'll select it, Command C, and I will make a copy of it. And you can see now it says 2, and I'm coming in here and I'm calling this staging. So now I have 2 of the exact same events here. This one, the original, I'm now going to delete everything that is in it, except the master. And in the master, I'm actually going to turn off the EQ and the gain, and I will leave the compressor hanging out for the time being. And then I'm going to move this to another screen, but in a second, what I'm going to do is drag these files into FMOD, specifically my audio files bin under environment, and I have a place called spaces in stereo, and then hallways in stereo. And I'm going to select that window I just showed you, bring those in, and we should see those pop up 30-meter ambience in the cathedral right here. And here's our files. Okay? So now the very first one, remember it has that little like half-second gap. So we bring that in, and you can see that here in my FMOD session. And then I'm going to add a multi-instrument next. And it automatically snaps in FMOD. Sometimes that's a little annoying. And we're going to bring that, those 5 remaining files into this scatter instrument and set up a loop region around that scatter instrument and get rid of this early one. It's not really useful. And one thing you could do here is, like the first one is 28 seconds. And the second one, we could make it exactly go to what it would be, 54, 56. Right, we could do that, and that's fine. But we could also make this multi-instrument here, not scatter instrument, I think I said scatter earlier, but multi-instrument, asynchronous, which means length doesn't really matter. It's just sort of a holding area. And loop it. And in this case, I actually have found it works better to do them sequentially so that it doesn't jump around too much. And then on my master, I'm going to set a little bit of pitch variation, a very small amount, so that if this hallway comes up multiple times, it could be slightly different. And then we can play through. And you'll hear transitions right over, and then plays through each of our sound effects, and then it will, for the remainder of this event playing, it will just continue through these events. There is one issue in this system, you might have identified it, which is this last event going to the first event can have a little bit of a jump. There are ways to deal with that. Essentially, we could take that very first audio file there, spaces in stereo, hallways, and then go over here to 02. We could take this event, so I can show you, or show myself. I'm just trying to drag it in. This shouldn't be the difficult part. Come on. There we go. So we can take that event, bring it in here, chop it down, and then do a fade in like this. And then hopefully that sort of makes that transition smooth. The problem is that will happen basically every time right now, right? So I found that this can smooth things out. Actually, probably we could have used the last event. That would have been even smarter. So we bring in the last event. No, that's not going to help us. Anyway, you can try to smooth it out, but I found that this works well. That's the point. And that's basically it for how we take what was a 16 voice event and then reduce it down to 1 and have a pretty good semblance of the same ambient feel with way less voices stacking up and potentially less CPU as well, because there's way fewer plugins and automation going on. Hopefully that makes sense and helps you work through this FMOD to Reaper voice count limit issue that's just something we have to deal with in game audio.